So if you guys didn't know, the anniversary for the March on Washington hosted by MLK is coming up on the 28th. So to get ahead of it, lots of people are getting ready. Lots of people are trying to do some events for it, try to do a little bit of remembrance for the people who fought for some civil rights before we were here. And for some of us, when we were here, remember, it's only like 56 years old. It's not really that old. With that being said, corporations typically hop onto these sorts of events and, try and give their own little spin on it. Get a little brownie points, get a couple of good PR points and be like, yo, dude, racism's bad, man. Racism, cringe. It's so un-Gucci. So Epic Games, who developed Fortnite, decided to take their massive platform and show the Fortnite groups, show the Fortnite users a little walk through time. And it's called a March Through Time, celebrating Martin Luther King. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. I have a dream today.
So yeah, it's the famous "I Have a Dream" speech, and if you guys remember sicko mode, wait, they basically did the same exact thing, but then they remodeled it for MLK, which, I mean, it's a good use of technology. I'll say, it's a good use of technology. Look at that, from sicko mode to sick of racism. I'll take it any day of the week, Chief. So it is definitely an interesting crossover episode. I'm going to tell you, I was not expecting this at all, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting. I wonder what's next. I want to see if MLK is going to be a character in Fortnite, but like all right, are you guys ready for did you think they enforced segregated bathrooms in Fortnite? I think for the realism they should. And that's the only reason, mostly for the realism. So I want to take a look at what some people have been doing in Fortnite, because it opened up, I think, if I remember correctly, today. It opened up today. So you can take a look at this. So you queue up for creative mode in Fortnite, and then you get sucked through a Time magazine cover into 1963. And this guy's playing as the Joker. And so he's dabbing his way on he's dabbing his way into MLK, as one does, as the Joker. It feels like a bad idea. Some people say that it's a bad idea. Some people are saying this, but don't worry, it gets a little bit more interesting. It feels racist. I mean, I was definitely surprised that they decided not to turn off emotes. Or like at least the dancing emote, default dances on MLK. Or like at least like the normal emotes, I would have met, or like dances, and not just like clapping or something. But no, you could just do whatever, you can just vibe. And and so they wanted to go for the realism. They had this as well. The people, after they were done listening to the "I Have a Dream" speech, you can go around and you can go see the segregated bathroom and segregated drinking fountains. If I remember correctly, they also have like little anti-racism mini games. And this is something someone said in Discord. I wasn't able to find the segregation bathrooms, but I did Gangnam Style in front of Lincoln as Thanos. So Master Chief decided to go to the Lincoln Memorial as well. Yeah, we were flossing, but at what cost? So yeah, there are like little anti-racism puzzles as well that you could do. Here's the thing. All right. Oh geez, stop playing. Here's the thing. We have a word for what this is. Okay, we have a word for this. We have a word for this already. You know what this is? This is what we call virtue signaling. So this is virtue signaling from the company. This is the company being like, oh, this is a really good thing. Would get a lot of cool PR by being like, whoa, guys, racism's cringe. It's pretty bad. Look at this, what we can do in our game. And they have this space already, so they thought it would be a good move. I think it's executed pretty poorly in just in the way that it looks. I can completely understand, and I also think it's a good thing, right? I think, and you can get mad at things like rainbow capitalism or virtue signaling anti-racist capitalism. With those things, we can definitely be like, oh yeah, come on, they're a little bit cringe. But cringe isn't necessarily bad. I think it's a good thing to have, to make it normal for our media to be injected with these sorts of ideas and make them mainstream. Because once again, like, not 60 years ago was MLK there and having to do that speech. We're really not that far away. Racism doesn't just disappear. And to go from something like that to something like this, as poorly executed as it could be, I still think is a good thing. I still think is generally a pretty good thing for society to move into. But I do think that Rick from Rick and Morty, Master Chief, and like Lil Pump or whoever's in the game, all doing little mini puzzles to solve racism is definitely a take. Nothing I do is performative. Everything they do is performative. Don't worry about it. And someone wrote this little article. I want to read through it because it's interesting. Fortnite isn't the platform for a Martin Luther King Jr. event. Over the past few years, Fortnite has transcended the traditional confines of a video game. It's simultaneously become a lucrative venue, ranking in the millions of dollars for performers like Ariana Grande, Travis Scott, while also dominating the battle royale scene as a metaverse with purchasable outfits and things along these lines. Last July, in the wake of the George Floyd's death, Fortnite went in a different direction, hosting a panel on race in America. It flopped horribly, with tens of thousands of people throwing virtual tomatoes at the screen.
You know, hip hop educates, hip hop motivates. It's the voice of a generation, and every generation. You know,
you didn't think ahead at all. They typically don't think ahead with this. They think that they could translate an Ariana Grande concert into a discussion about racism in America and think that it's going to be okay with a bunch of like gamers. You have to come into this with like a little bit more thought than just like let's floss and dab on George Floyd in Fortnite. You know, it's not necessarily the coolest thing. Now, focusing on Martin Luther King Jr.'s and the 58th anniversary of the March on Washington, they also disabled a couple of emotes to avoid the previous snafu. Hey, listen, they learned a little bit. So no more, you cannot throw any more tomatoes at MLK while he's giving his I Have a Dream speech. Super cool. I guess they you can still be dabbing. That's important. They can't take, that's a core game mechanic, okay? I played through this Black History minigame museum this morning, and frankly, it was beyond eerie watching Master Chief and Rick and Morty characters work together to unpack racism. While I understand that this project was meant to educate the youth on historical exploitation of Black folks in America, it is a tonally misguided experience that feels inappropriate and insidious to be hosting on a colossal commercial digital entertainment like Fortnite. It's really eerie. It's a little weird. It seemed like not the best put together, but at the end of the day, it is still a good thing that they're moving in this direction, and a good thing that even with some backlash, they still are trying. Now, I think it's incredibly important for them to do better, because when these massive companies mess up, they set the tone for our discussions when it comes to race, classism, sexism, anti-capitalism. Even though they didn't talk about the massive capitalist company didn't talk about MLK's anti-capitalism. Who could have seen this coming? Who could have seen this coming? Not I. It is a good thing that they're moving in this direction and think that it's good for their business. But at the same time, remember, these businesses don't care about you. At the end of the day, these were the same businesses that before the 1960s, they were perfectly fine instituting things like segregation. And they're going anti-segregation now, not because it's necessarily right, but because it's just profitable. And after one of the mini games as well, you get teleported from like the Lincoln Memorial to a cafe, a segregated cafe and a sit-in, the diner in Greensboro sit-in, where where a spot where 4 black men protested segregation, which is just, it's just weird. It's just really weird, and they can set a bad tone for us. It makes our job harder as activists when these companies try to step in sometimes, and they especially set a really bad tone. We have to now deal with that. I just think it's weird. It doesn't seem to fit too much. I don't think it's necessarily like evil. I don't think it's evil. I just, you know, I just believe maybe going from something like as incredible as the civil rights movement and the I Have a Dream speech to dabbing your way through a Times Magazine cover from a corporation in a corporate game to watching hardcore anti-capitalist and anti-racist a talk while they basically monetize it isn't really the coolest meme. You know, it's not necessarily the coolest. Imagine if MLK were alive to see this. I'm not sure if he would want to be. Oh, geez. Yeah, it would have been all better if you were, if all the characters were forced to be in the Black Panther costume. All right, when you went in. All right, no dabbing, no flossing, but you had to wear, before you queue up, you had to equip the the Black Panther costume. That's important. That's vitally important.